It is QIPCO 2000 Guineas time. Chris Dixon and I are in the paddock, and the first horse we're going to look at is number 2, two handlers over to our right, camera left, and that is, of course, City of Troy, unbeaten son of Justify. Last seen winning the Dewhurst over 7 furlongs, 203 days ago, Chris.
Yeah, and the outstanding juvenile of last season. The question is, how will he have trained on? Well, he looks like he's trained, and trained pretty well. He looks in excellent nick. Your interview with Ed O'Brien earlier saying that he was a little bit heavier
than expected.
Is a positive sign, they're saying, and it's not that he's holding condition, it must be that there's been some physical progress. He's nice and relaxed, and if he can even match the level that he was at 2, then the others are going to have to improve plenty, because that level is good enough to win a lot of recent Guineas. So I really hope that he can make a winning return as a 3-year-old and remain unbeaten, because he's got the real star quality in this field. Unbeaten at 2, and he's already proven at the track. The trip going to suit him, I think, and really excited to see him.
Number 3 is behind. He cuts a slightly less relaxed figure, pouring at the ground a little on his toes. That is Ghostwriter, also unbeaten, number 3.
As you say, he's a lot more het up. He's getting warm between his back legs. He's down on his neck as well. He's unbeaten in 3 starts. He needs to find improvement, but he really did go the right way last year, and he's a course and distance winner.
I'm going to spin round to the other side of the paddock now and pick up Inisherin, which is number 6. So we'll let these go and head over. We can go that way. Inisherin, give us a bit more time to look at him. That is number 6 for Tom Eves and Kevin Ryan.
Yeah, he's a good-looking horse, this, isn't he? He's strong looking. He looks a real miling type. He's by Shamadal. Plenty of his progeny have this kind of physique, and he's out of a smart mare in Ajman Princess as well. So his pedigree's a real positive, and he quickened up really well to win in a slow overall time but a fast finish at Newcastle when he was last seen. The yard have got previous of getting horses to run really well at big prices in this race, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was another. 1 or 2
in the race for Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum. Number 4 is behind Haatem, who won the Craven when last seen 16 days ago.
Yeah, showing that he had trained on from 2 to 3 Haatem, and again proving an ability to handle this track. A little bit more is required, but is entitled to progress once again. He's an interesting runner.
Once again, we'll head over to the other side to have a look at Al Yanabi. He chased home City of Troy in the Dewhurst, and that is number 1. He's behind the trees.
Yeah, and he chased him home on the back of having won here the time before in Group 3 company. So he went into the Dewhurst as an informed progressive rival, but he was blown away in the end by City of Troy. No disgrace in that, obviously. He is a son of Too Darn Hot. He's out of a mare who was unraced but related to smart horses that progressed with age. He's getting a little bit warm. Wouldn't take it as a massive negative. They're obviously expecting a bit. He was wearing the red hood.
Unbeaten in 2 starts at Southwell is number 7, Knight Raider. That's back 3 horses. Number 7 lines up for Danny Tudhope and Carl Burke, Knight Raider.
He looks extremely well. He's obviously coming into this with a couple of runs behind him on the all-weather, so it's first go on the turf today. Demolished the field at Southwell last time out, and Cogitate, who he beat, isn't a bad horse. He wasn't beaten that far in an Acomb, so he looks to have a lot of class. The yard are talking him up. The sectionals give him extra credit, really, from what he has achieved on the bare form, but he does need to improve again. For me, stamina is a slight doubt.
Again, over the other side of the paddock, behind the trees, is number 11, 10 Bob Tony. 10 Bob Tony's a very distinctive looking horse. He was a winner at the Craven meeting when it suited being on the pace. That's number 11.
And at the Craven meeting, he beat Boiling Point, who came out here and won yesterday. So that form given a timely boost. He will get on the front end, you would imagine, and roll along. I suspect a few of them will pass him, but he'll give it a good go from the front, and he's likely to be suited by this trip, given the way that he saw his race out.
And behind is number 9, that's Rosallion, who won at Longchamp when last seen. He was disappointing in the Champagne Stakes prior.
Son of Blue Point, who can be quite free. I'd have a little bit of a worry about him for the trip as well, particularly given his general demeanour, both pre-race and, more importantly, in races in the past. He'll be tucked away. He's got a real sparkling turn of foot, this horse, and he's got some very, very strong form. Already a Group 1 winner, and some of his form in this country, including at Ascot, worked out really well.
We still owe you a couple more. I'm going to spin round to number 5. That is Iberian for Tom Marquand and Charlie Hills. Obviously well behind City of Troy. In a race where Tom Marquand, he asserted that he felt disappointing that day, Chris. He felt below par.
Yeah, and he was below par. His previous form at Doncaster is obviously better than that. He was not able to give his running for whatever reason in the Dewhurst. And I suppose for that reason you could take a bit of a positive, because he didn't give his running, whereas some of the others did give their running, it seems, and were blown away by City of Troy. He was blown away, but perhaps with an excuse that we don't necessarily know about on the day. He was progressing before that, and he could run okay. I'm not quite sure about his draw just on the flank, and I don't really like being on the wing, and it can make things a little bit more difficult, particularly for a horse who can be quite exuberant.
Number 8 is Notable Speech. Imagine going to be given a stalk and pounce ride. William Buick, Charlie Appleby.
Yeah, unbeaten in 3 starts is another one that's bringing an unbeaten record to the line. An unbeaten all-weather record. He's yet to go on the turf, but he did look pretty special and smart when he picked up from the back of the field at Kempton to win in decisive fashion in a race where they hadn't gone that quick. He's clearly got lots of gears.
And finally, number 10, Task Force, has had his win done. Rosallion and Haatem.
Yeah, bandaged behind, getting quite warm. He doesn't impress physically in the paddock in the manner that some do. I actually think that he's a horse that could do better this year. He could take the win surgery one of 2 ways, but if it improves him, he could be of interest. And not really bred to be a 6-furlong juvenile, which is what all his form is over. So this is much more likely to be his bag in theory.
11 going to post for the QIPCO 2,000 guineas.
Rosallion goes in at stall number 4. City of Troy is going to be the last one to load. All in. And they're off in the 2024 running of the QIPCO 2,000 guineas over the mile. City of Troy broke out well in the dark blue jacket. Inisheran's with him through the opening furlong. Al-Yanabi's quite keen. He's up with the early gallop as well. Then Haatem and Bob Tony, the orange sleeves and cap. They're followed through then by Task Force in the pink cap. And with those to the right-hand side is Iberian. Haatem with City of Troy over toward the far side. They're followed through by Rosallion, then Ghostwriter, and Night Raider is with those in the grey silks. Tucked in behind that group is Notable Speech as they continue up the home run towards halfway. It is City of Troy just about in front, but with him though is Inisheran and Haatem between them, the green sleeves and cap. Night Raider completes out that leading wave. Al-Yanabi more towards the stand side in blue and white with Bob Tony and Iberian maroon and yellow. They're followed by Rosallion. Task Force nudged along. Ghostwriter behind those, and then came Notable Speech. City of Troy is under pressure now as out in front Inisheran will lead from Haatem, and Al-Yanabi as they head down towards the final 2.5 furlongs. Rosallion travels powerfully down the centre, puts it up to Inisheran. Al-Yanabi coming there, then Haatem. City of Troy will be well beaten. Notable Speech is coming into it, the blue to the left-hand side. They're racing inside the final furlong and a half. Rosallion down the centre. Notable Speech to the far side, trying to stick on. It's Haatem in third, but it's Notable Speech who's come through to lead. He goes on by a couple to Rosallion. Haatem back in third, then Ghostwriter. It's Notable Speech. He remains unbeaten. He won the 2,000 guineas. Notable Speech from Rosallion, then Haatem, Ghostwriter, Inisheran, Al-Yanabi, and then Task Force.
Well, they sometimes talk of this race as the last 2-year-old race of the season, but we didn't see this horse till he was 3, and he's never run a race on turf. Guineas winner, there you go.
Yeah, no, delighted. Firstly, just many congratulations to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed and Team Godolphin and all the lads back in the yard. He's come from up the old yard there, so he's one of the quirkier, surprisingly for as quiet as you see him walking around here. He's got his little idiosyncrasies that it suits him up there in the quiet environment, and well done to all of them up there.
What would they be? Because he was one of the quieter ones walking around.
Yeah, he'd be one of those horses. He spends most of his day sort of in the back of his box there, tied up, and just quietly just keeps himself to himself. And he's just got that little switch on him that, the smallest little thing can sometimes set him off. But he's been foot perfect every time he's been to the races, and therefore you cannot fault him. And I was delighted with the way he pre-paraded. I thought he looked a picture in the paddock there, and William went out there and rode him with the confidence that he felt he had in the horse, and we saw the result.
At what point in his relatively short campaign now, since the back end of January, did you think that this might be realistic, just running?
Look, I think at the end of the day we are realistic in that what his performance is on the all-weather, we're on the all-weather, and so therefore you wouldn't normally see a horse coming off there into a classic straight off the bat. But at that last start, I think we all sort of left there with a little bit of, he put a little bit of a wow factor in his acceleration, and the speed figures stacked up there. So therefore William was very complimentary about him after the race, and I felt that he could be a French Guineas horse at that time, because he just said of the speed of him, his acceleration, he would suit that type of a race over there. Obviously we watched the Craven and a couple of the trials sort of come and go, and immediately after the Craven we said, right, we'll make the call and we'll have a crack at the English Guineas with him, and then after that, we brought him up here, for a racecourse gallop there, and he put that wow factor back in again. I put a decent lead horse. I just said to Will, I'm going to put some speed into this dip for you, and I said you'll have to fire him at it to see how he comes out of it, because we all know it's a great excuse to use, but we use the dip too often if we get beaten. So I said I'm far from saying it wasn't it wasn't actual race experience he got, but he got a good racecourse experience there into that dip, and Will fired him in and fired him back out of it, and he flew out of the dip, and he said, I didn't even know it was there, to be brutally honest with you. So we came here after that. We came here with more confidence about it. We were the right horse to be here anyway. I was far from going to say we would win a Guineas on the back of what City of Troy had achieved as a 2-year-old, and to be fair to the Craven winner and everyone else who was participating. But I just felt that we had the right horse to be participating in it ourselves and be competitive.
Do you see him this season as always going to be a sort of hold up and pounce type, or could he be more versatile? Might he have to be?
I see no reason why you want to change it unless all of a sudden you were forced into that. But at the end of the day, that's why William's got the job he has. That's for him to make the call, and he has considering their short sort of spell together. And I say short, 3 rides. He's only ever sat on him 3 times there. I think he sat on him once at home, maybe. He's got a lot of confidence in the horse, and he feels he knows what the horse can do, and I think that showed today.
And regard what he does next, not just race-wise, but do you see him trying a different distance as well? What do you think?
I'd be surprised if we went beyond. Yeah, I would be. I mean, if truth be known, if I'd looking at him in the paddock today, when I saw him go around for, he looked fantastic. But I just thought if this turned in, Will did say to me going into the race, he said, "Look, Charlie, I'm going to have to ride him off the pace slightly." He says, "I don't want to get drawn into, a stamina end-to-end mile." He says because it will just take the acceleration off this horse, and this is his forte. And so, until those races come and go, you won't know how he's going to be ridden, but I'll leave that to Will.
And Ascot would be the likely next port of call, would it?
I would imagine so, but like I say, I think as always, we'll let the dust settle, let everyone enjoy themselves, and speak to all connections, and come up with a formulative plan.
Last word on Will. Obviously, he's gone very close before. I guess it was a different type of feeling today because he was on sort of a bigger price horse, but it's great for him to get a Guinea.
Good for sure. I mean, what can I say? He's champion jockey, a good friend. And he's riding for me at the top of his game, and I think like any sort of sporting team, when you have that connection and things are going right, well, to enjoy it, as they say.
And good luck in America. You got three at Churchill, 1 at Aqueduct. Busy man.
Yeah, looking forward to that. No, I'm quite pleased I'm here rather than being at Churchill. It could be a bit busy there tonight, but the team are all out there. Team are well. Frankie's doing his bit, hopefully. 3 favourites out there. We've got Mischief Magic in the sprint, and then we've got Legend of Time in what's called the American Turf, a 3-year-old over the 9, and then Naval Power in the Old Bourbon. They're all at Churchill, and then Ottoman's Fleet, who we saw here at the Craven meeting, he's chipped over again as he did last year, and we'll have another crack at the Fort Macy Aqueduct with Richie and Mullen in the saddle. Good luck out there. Most importantly, well done, another Guineas. Thanks, Tom. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, there's been a few near misses, and it's great to get a 2,000 Guineas, and obviously he's an incredible, notable speech. He's a very special horse. Like you said, he took a very unconventional route into the race, but he's done things in his at least 2 of the runs at Kempton that most horses can't do. And he's given me the feel of a proper horse, and he's always given me the feel that he's got a lot more to give as well. So Charlie took him here for a feel of the track, I think probably 10 days ago or something like that, and it wasn't searching at all, and I just sort of thinking back, it just left us both a little bit speechless. We didn't have to say anything to each other, and he had a lot to prove today. We all know that, but he if he was going to handle everything, pace of the race, the track at that speed and everything else. He always had the speed that's required in this race. And I was very sort of pleasantly surprised how he went through the race with such ease. You know, he was just so smooth with everything he did, and not at any stage was I worried, really. You could have done with the horse, probably taking me a little bit further, and I've never said that before in this race. So he's a really special horse, and you know, again, after that today, he still feels like he's got more to give. So he's a horse that, you know, great job by the team as well, Charlie and the whole team at home. You know, he's a homebred of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, so it's extra special that way as well. And you know, he's a real credit to everyone, and you know, he's a horse who I don't think we've seen the best of yet.
Charlie mentioned that he's got his quirks at home, but you just don't really see them here. We certainly didn't in the paddock. He walked around quiet as anything. What was he like when you got on board?
I haven't seen them either. So I've been on him 4 times now, and I think I've ridden him once in a racecourse gallop. They don't let me near him at home, which is always a good sign. So nothing changed up until this race, and yeah, he's what you call a dude, I suppose.
And is he? Do you just want to get him switched off in a race? Is that just him, and then he's got that electric turn of foot?
He does that himself. Yeah, you just have to kind of point him in the right direction in many ways. That's really how he is. He's just a super horse, and you know, when he turns it on, I don't think there's many horses that can go with him.
Well done, Will.
Thank you very much.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.